Hey guys, it's microgreen day. So today we're talking all about microgreens. There's a lot of benefits to growing them. Microgreens are healthy. Microgreens are extremely healthy for you. Compared to full-grown greens that we're used to eating, like different types of lettuces, microgreens pack a stronger nutritional punch, and you don't have to eat a lot of them to get the same amount of nutrition as you would get in a large salad, for example. Depending on the type of microgreens you grow, they grow really fast. Some grow in a week or less. What I have here is the oldest batch is exactly 7 days old today. Some microgreens take longer. I have some varieties behind me that take like 3 weeks. Some microgreens have a flavor, like a subtle flavor that's similar to what the mature version of that plant has, and some of them don't really have much of a taste at all, which is kind of nice. For example, broccoli, a lot of these greens that I have here are broccoli microgreens. Broccoli has a bit of a taste to it, you know, it's that cruciferous vegetable kind of pungentness. Broccoli microgreens don't really have that, in my opinion anyway. The way that I grow them, they're very easy to grow. I don't use soil or anything like that. For kids, they're fun. They're very fast. Like in terms of what you need to do to grow them, that doesn't take very much time either. You can save a lot of money. You can be more self-sufficient with your greens. You can have homegrown greens year-round because you just grow them on a countertop. Depending on where you get your seeds from and if they're organic or not, there's no chemicals. And in the process of growing them, you don't have to deal with bugs and, you know, powdery mildew and things like that. So it's just very natural. So I originally learned how to do this a couple, maybe 3 years ago, I'm not sure, from Garden Answer. So I will link that video down below, the original one. I think that Laura has done a few videos about microgreens, but I've never seen her start microgreens and then go through the process like I'm gonna do today, which is why I'm making this video. This is the same set that she had. This is a tray set. There are actually 3 trays. There's 2 stacked on top of each other because this is a baby batch that I started today, or yesterday morning. We're gonna start a batch here together right now. And then these also. So there's 3 green trays. It came with some of the jute fiber. So you've heard of jute twine, the brown twine that you use to tie things up. This is made out of jute also, but it's just a pad. It's very thin and it's just cut to fit the tray. I'll show you how it works. And then these trays also came with some seeds, but I've had these trays for 2 or 3 years now, so those seeds are long gone. But I have some seeds of my own. So there's lots of different methods for doing microgreens. It actually surprises me, but a lot of people do it with soil. I don't have time for that mess. It's just the original kit that I got that I'm using today. My sister-in-law just recently bought this kit and her trays were black. I went onto their website and they look like they're black now. So it's basically the same thing if you go to gardeners.com. It's from Gardener's Supply. And that original kit, this one with the 3 trays, a starter pack of like 10 jute pads, a few small packets of seeds, enough to do basically 1 tray's worth of microgreens. That was $25 before tax and before shipping. That's the way that I do it, but like I said, you can do it with soil, you can do it, there are other trays that are round that stack on top of each other and they have drainage holes. I'm not totally sure what's going on with that, but there are lots of different ways to do it. And you can even do it with mason jars, and I will actually show you. I am sprouting some lentils right now. I was just kind of looking around. I think it's behind me. Yes, that white bowl. So we'll kind of cover this as well, but these are lentils. These are a little bit different. I believe the difference between sprouts and microgreens is that sprouts get harvested earlier and microgreens grow on a little bit longer. So sprouts, I believe, are typically not yet green, but these are green, as you can see. All right, so before I give you more details, we'll just kind of run through the process. First, I want to show you, and I'll probably put some pictures up if the video doesn't quite capture it. If you can see there on right here on the left side, I believe that is. Yeah, on the left side, I'm trying to remember if it's like a mirror image or not. These were started, so today is Sunday. These were started on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then in the front there, the longer ones were started on Thursday, and then the ones in the middle and the front were started on Friday. So day before yesterday. And then the batch that I have in here that was undercover was started yesterday, Saturday morning. So these are about a day and a half old. I could probably uncover them now because they're kind of sprouted, but I will leave them covered probably until tomorrow. You can see how yellow some of the sprouts are that are just kind of like loose in the tray, if you can see that. See how they're yellow? They're not really green yet. That's because they haven't been exposed to sunlight. So as long as these sprouts that are on the sides of the tray in the grooves, as long as they're covered, they'll keep growing because they'll stay moist, but they also won't green up. They won't do the whole photosynthesis thing. This batch right here in the front from Friday morning, I just uncovered them today. So typically this is how we do it. Let me clear my space. Because this one is still undercover, and when you start them, they need to be undercover, I'm going to just add to this tray. These trays are 10 inches square, 10 inches by 10 inches. I thought they were 12 inches, but I think it's 10 inches by 10 inches. These pads by Enroute, these are the pads, like this is the brand of pads that came with the original kit that I bought from gardeners.com. But I think I got this pack from amazon.com. You can see they're way bigger. These are 10 inches by 20 inches. You could cut each of these in half and fill 2 trays with them. And that pack, I think there are 10 in that pack, and I think it was like $20 to $25. Then I have this pack, which is by the same company, but this is 10 inches by 10 inches. I think it's actually 9.5 inches by 9.5 inches so that it can fit inside a 10 inch by 10 inch tray. These are just 10 by 10. So these automatically, just as they are, will fit into a tray, just in there like that. But my family doesn't really go through that many greens in a week, and so I typically cut these in half. So that would make it like 5 inches by 10 inches, or I typically cut this into thirds. So that way I have 2 different sizes depending on what I have on my meal plan for the week. So then I have this bag with them in it, and these are just pre-cut, ready to go. So this one, this is probably an 8-inch one. This is probably a third. Anyway, so what I do, normally when I start one, the tray is fresh and there's nothing in it. So I am going to take this and just put it in the lid for now so that this is empty. So I'm going to put this in there and I'm gonna let it soak in water. All right, so I did that really fast. Typically what I do is I put enough water in the tray, not to totally cover the jute pad, but enough to that it's totally sitting on water. And then I just press it down and then I flip it over. I do it again and I may leave it for something like 10 minutes. I mean, it's fine that I'm just doing it after 2 minutes, but typically if I have time, I let it soak. Okay, so I have my pad, it's wet and it's ready to, so the jute is just the growing medium. You use that instead of soil. And I have my seeds. So this is my container of seeds. This is actually a blend that I put together of, you can see there, alfalfa, broccoli, purple kohlrabi, radish, collards, and turnips. And these are all seeds that grow fast. And I'll pop this lid off so that you can see. The vast majority of these seeds are broccoli seeds, probably like 90% of them are, but it's a blend. And I like to do that because I like a diversity of nutrients. And here you can see, if you look real close, some of those stems are like purplish, pinkish. I think those might be the purple kohlrabi. If you do that, if you put different types of seeds together, you need to make sure that they grow at a similar rate, because I have some seeds that just, like I said, they take like 3 weeks, and so it's just they're not compatible with each other. And the same way that sun lovers and shade lovers in the garden are not compatible to grow in the same spot. All right, so I'm gonna do this at a slight angle, but I basically just put a spoon in here. You can just pour it out also because it has like a natural spout because it's a square container. But I just take my spoon and I just put the microgreens on top of the jute pad. Get that close. Something like that. After that, I just make sure that the seeds are wet on top. So I just have this is a kitchen spray bottle, so I wash it every week or so. So this is specifically for the kitchen, and I just spray it. So they're kind of glistening. And then I will put the other one back in here that I started yesterday morning. Again, that's how it looks. That's how they look together. I will put the lid on top, and these don't like seal or anything. They're not airtight. It's not about making it airtight. It's just about keeping the humidity in there and keeping it dark. So you don't want to expose these to light until they've germinated and you start to see the leaves come out. I will say that when I first started doing this, the first few batches, I actually threw them in the trash because I thought they were getting moldy. I'm gonna show you Friday's sprouts. So these were covered for 2 full days, which you could leave them covered for 2 to 3 days typically. Different types of microgreen seeds have different needs, but that's typically what this batch needs. But you can see in there some of that white fuzzy stuff. Once you expose them to light, those like fuzzy things sort of go away. This is Thursday's batch, so this has been in the sun for a little while, but can you see that in there? It's like white fuzz. Those are little, I don't know what they're called, but they're like little feelers that go out to try to root into soil. So it's totally natural for small seedlings to have those, but I didn't totally understand that when I read that that's what they meant. So I just thought they just keep getting moldy. Like I have no idea what I'm doing. And I live somewhere where it's very dry, so it wasn't like a humidity issue. So we did that, and now it's like this. And so twice a day for the next couple of days, basically when I get up in the morning and then when I close the kitchen down at night, I will take the lid off and I'll spray it again with the spray bottle. Once they are ready to not be covered anymore, I will just take this, imagine that they're actually sprouting, and I'll just put some water in the corner and kind of do this to make sure there's water all throughout in those lines, in those grooves. Can you see that on the bottom? The lines. I'll just make sure there's enough water there that the roots can take the water up, and then I will just do that once a day until the microgreens are ready to be eaten. When we eat the microgreens, they say rinse them off. I have never rinsed them off. You can do a couple of things, and Monday's batch is definitely ready to go, so we'll just harvest some of these. By the way, I'll show you what those roots look like on the bottom. That's what the roots look like. Very, very cool. So you can do it a couple of ways. One option is just to pull them out. And you can see, if you pull them out that way, you can still see the root. I just don't love eating the root, but we've done it at times. Another option is just to use some kitchen scissors. I'm just gonna set these sprouts to the side over here. So I just have kitchen scissors. This came in a 3-pack from IKEA. I just cut it. So you just stick your scissors in there for however much you want and you just cut it. And then they're just a little bit cleaner on the ends. Sometimes I cut them multiple times so they're just teeny tiny. I do not cook them because cooking obviously makes it lose some of its nutritional value. The microgreens are just so small. We try to each have at least a small pinch of them every day on something, or just grab a bundle of them, grab a small bundle and just eat it just straight up. And that's microgreens. Before we go, I want to show you how I sprout lentils just as a little bonus. Again, there's lots of ways to do this. I've actually done this different ways. This is what they look like right now. I don't know if you can see that they've started sprouting. I started these yesterday morning as well. Oh yeah, they've got tails. Let me show you. See the little tails in there? So again, I like to sprout lentils, even if just for a day or two, sometimes longer than that. I mean, they'll actually start growing leaves because again, when they're sprouted like that, their nutritional density just amplifies and it's getting more bang for your buck basically. So what I do is I put them in a bag. This bag is from Trader Joe's. It's just a white bag that you can see through. And I just get them wet a couple times a day. I fill this bowl with water. I let them soak for a few minutes. I dump the water out and then I just leave them in the kitchen. When I spray my microgreens or water them, I do the same thing with the lentils. And then I use the lentils sometimes with like country fried potatoes or in an Asian dish. That's probably the 2 most common ways that I use the sprouted lentils. So I'll show you some of my seeds. My favorite place to get microgreen seeds from is Johnny's. I believe they're located in Maine. These are broccoli microgreens and this is a 5-pound bag. See that? So I love how much information they put on here. They say that days to maturity is 10 to 15. My experience is more like 7. By day 10, they're typically like ready to go for me anyway, but I should try 2 weeks and see what happens. And then they have the lot number, the germination rate test. So this batch, not all of these, but seed samples from this batch had a 99% germination rate, which is obviously very, very good. And then the test date was December of 22. Because, you know, seeds lose their germination rate kind of erodes a little bit over time, kind of like eggs in a person's body. Because they're, you know, 9 months old, 10 months old, they may not have a 99% germination rate, but I would be surprised if it was below 95%. I mean, you saw how I put those seeds on and you see how they've produced. I mean, it's a pretty reliable rate. Now, not all microgreens are like that. For example, this is a bunch of other microgreen seeds that I have, and they're all from Johnny's. And I have all Johnny's microgreen seeds on purpose because they all came from the same place, just to show you that there's a variety. And there's a variety in sizes as well. And I have learned that on Johnny's, microgreen seeds that are on sale typically means they're not as good to eat, or they take longer to germinate, or they have a lower germination rate. I don't know that that's always the case, but that's been my experience. So this is cinnamon basil. So it's got a basil-y flavor and it's got a cinnamon-y flavor, and its days maturity is 16 to 25. The germination rate on this one was 86%. We did not love these, but we eat them anyway. Let's see. Okay, we've got a couple more here in the similar size. So this is yellow beet. Again, did not love these. They take almost a month to germinate. 16 to 25 again. This germination rate was 78%, but they overpacked it, meaning because the germination rate wasn't that great, they gave me extra seeds to compensate for that. So they gave me enough seeds to bump it up by 3% to get it to 81%. So that's what this is. They're pretty, they have yellow stems, but they just weren't that amazing. And then this is another basil microgreen, but it's lemon basil. Again, 16 to 25 days. This germination rate is a 99% though. That's obviously extremely good. And then I have two more samples for you in an in-betweener size. So this is a 1 pound size, and this is a carrot microgreen. So they're kind of fun to look at because they look like carrot leaves when they come up. They're really pretty. They almost look like cilantro, but they taste kind of like carrot, so it depends on what you're eating, I guess. We use microgreens, like I said, on a lot of different things. We'll even put some on pizza, like before we eat it. Obviously, like I said, we don't cook with it. And the carrot taste just doesn't go with pizza for us. And then this is the last one, and this is yellow shard. And I actually haven't tried this one yet. You can see it's still closed on the top. This one is 16 to 25 days, and this one has a germination rate of 93%. So that's good. And I now understand why a lot of times when you're in the grocery store and you're looking at microgreens, a lot of them are alfalfa and broccoli, because they are very easy to germinate. They're very fast. They're quick to be edible. They have a really fast turnaround time. Like I said, the oldest, it's Sunday afternoon, and these were started on Monday morning. So they're just about a week old and they are edible. They could still develop more in their leaves, but they're totally edible at this point. So yeah, that's it. You need trays, you need the jute pad liners, and you need some seeds, you need a spray bottle, and you're good to go. And then you have your own homegrown microgreens. Pack a nutritional punch, way better than iceberg lettuce and a number of other things. And yeah, it's a fun thing that we do. That's one of the things we do with our kids' education. It's one of the fun activities we do. Every single week they get to watch these come to life and be born. It's fun, and then they get to eat them. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.